I don't have anything, so Rigby, save me.
Not mess with my gang, or you'll be messing with Oopie Goopy, General Munchkin Man, Lil Jimbo.
With My Hero finally done forever, besides one more OVA, the final season was undoubtedly a higher quality in terms of everything, since this season only had 11 episodes and no disturbance of a movie in the way. Most of the artists that would be in the movie production was in this season, and I think people don't understand, but the movies are just the better choice if you are an animator. It doesn't restrict your creative vision because of the condition and also the content, and you probably get paid better. That's also a big one. My Hero Academia is a production that's restricted because of the schedule that they have, but since this is the final season, the team could really spread their wings, sometimes making an episode feel very different compared to its usual vision. Better compositing, different color design, strong consistent animation, ambitious storyboards. It's still the same main staff from the previous season. Naomi Nakayama being the series director again from season 7 created a more polished presentation with less workload. Because of that, more of the other teams got more time to really make the end product better. The bar of quality this season was way more consistent than ever, even when they put a lot of their resources to a single episode, but we'll talk about that soon. While there is still complaints that I have, of course I'll dog shit on a Taylor Musa every day of the week, but there's other things. Sometimes scenes or even episodes as a whole give you a different vibe that you're not used to in MHA. It's more apparent with the non-action stuff. Episode 4 used a different color palette, hence why the use of bright and quote-unquote obvious colors, you can say, were more apparent this episode. Not just that, it feels more refreshing. The compositing and color choices mix so well with the background, even sometimes masking the terrible art direction to give that atmospheric vibe to it. Even sometimes the blue sky looks good. I mean, that's gotta be an anomaly. Same with the drawings, it's always strong for MHA, even at its worst. Umakoshi was AD for all the episodes except one, which was solely by Morishima. I think season 7 and 8 is quite similar in terms of how this production is. Season 7 still struggled, episode that should be prioritized looking not on the quality it should be. Some episodes also lost a lot of the potential even with such a good director that should be better. It was still consistent than previous seasons like season 6. The last half was rough, and season 8 had a lot of very interesting episodes with their own respective directors. That's not usually with the project. The action was more dynamic even with the same reoccurring staff. A good example is season 8 episode 5, storyboard by Naomi Nakayama and Haruka Ida, versus Nakayama's episode 1 and Haruka Ida's episode 8. I think you can see the difference. I've always talked about priority for episodes. If the same people directing and storyboarding it get less resources and time, of course it will look inferior to the other episodes that is prioritized more. The action has always been one of the biggest talks about MHA. Of course, as a shonen, people love the unga bunga energy, although MHA is not mainly about that. It's about the emotional impact, about the fights that is very highlighted, and MHA fans like that. Like me. Besides the ones that makes straight characters gay. Whoa! Let's ship a dead character with Uraraka. Wow! The content is restricting them. We saw what they can do in the movies with them making their own action stuff freely, but I think they can still do it like episode 3. That is a prime example. You can make the fights dynamic and make the emotional tone even better with incredible direction. This scene was one of the most impactful moments in the episode for me, but it was just a simple slow-mo shot of random people rooting for them. I made a whole video about episode 3, so you can check that out. It's just that, again, time constraints. The episode itself was only finished a couple of days before it aired, I think because this episode was probably the longest in terms of production for obvious reasons. It looks the best. I mean, same with the season itself. They only finished a couple of days before the final episode aired, which is not the first for MHA. Some of the core staff is also, I think, not the best when it comes to action. Shoji Ikeno is good at action, nothing, crazy, but putting Tomo Okubo to storyboard some very action-heavy episodes is not the best choice. I think he's good at directing stuff, but you can see in his episodes, it can look a bit limited because of its boards. I want to touch upon the negatives about this season a bit. There's not that much compared to other seasons. It's the same complaint. The art direction of Taylor Musa. Wombo Clap. Although there's still some good shots of it, they masked the art direction quite well, but that doesn't do anything. It still looks dog shit. Of course, the schedule is still not the best 1 year, and they did raise the bar higher this time around. Episode 5 and 6 were still good, but there's some complaints for me. I think animation-wise, episode 5 is the worst looking, very awkward shots, and not the best action direction coming from these two, which is, yes, there's still moments, but overall I wasn't very keen on this episode. Same with episode 6. The animation was there, it was good, very good. I think people who complain about it is stupid, thinking there wasn't any strong animation displayed, but what was kind of lacking for me is the direction. I hate when there's a really good looking action scene and you waste it with people narrating it. It just doesn't feel like much if you present it like that. Maybe if you're like JJK where you have a narrator to explain stuff more when the action is still going, I think they did that better. It's not the biggest complaints, but I was just not the greatest on those episodes. Maybe my expectations were higher because of episode 3, but yeah. I could also say the same thing with episode 8 too, with sometimes limited animation that can feel weak at times with stills or direction. Animation power is very important. I think MHA has always have that since the beginning, but some people left and some new faces came out. Some of those new faces just improve and improve. Jason Yao really put on the shift like Gear 5. 6, 7, C7. I don't know why I said 7. Someone please shoot me. Akira Yamamoto, Miyu Nakano, many more, but I think one person we should focus on is Kohei Hirota. Hirota has done wonders for MHA as a mega fan for the series itself and a Nakamura-inspired animator. He really filled his shoes, I guess you can say, since Nakamura and some other standout animators like Norimizu Suzuki was nowhere to be seen besides second key animation stuff. W troll. My favorite sequence from this whole season was Hirota's storyboarding section in episode 3. The split screen shots, the overall dynamic nature of the fight is something that we barely see in the TV series. It just shows when Vincent's work is not the highlight of the episode. You know you watch something special, maybe because he hated Bakugo, unlike Yuki Sato, my queen. Kohei Hirota also contributed for the season a lot. A lot. Good storyboards can't be realized without good animation, and this was very consistent almost the whole way through. Detailed mecha stuff moving more, the action being more ambitious, and can still follow through that. Even the mundane scenes, you get some really nice fluid motion on that, which is not a one-time thing also. Giving more emotion to it with incredible drawings, it goes without saying that Umakoshi being in almost every episode except episode 1, his fingerprints were everywhere. The corrections that he provided are amazing, same with other ADs like Noriko Horishima and Anna Yaguchi. The recurring staff contribute a lot, and some other talented freelancers are in this season. Again, with Nakamura and Suzuki, it's unfortunate to not have those people in this season, but there's a lot more plenty animators than just those people. Episode 3 having a lot of One Piece people, more specifically from episode 1074. Hone Hone, Hirota and Michibata did absolute wonders with the storyboards. Thanks Michibata for bringing in Vincent to this project, and a lot of other animators that's not usually in MHA like Tento Ten, Isuta Meister, and a lot of others. Episode 9 was another big priority episode. It didn't reach the level of quality and even direction at that as episode 3, but it was still very peak. Haruka Ida, someone who usually work more on doing opening and endings for MHA, gets one of the most important episodes of MHA and nailing it, using a lot of callbacks that conjunction really well with the overall narrative of the story. And people like Miso, Angel Kade coming to this episode, and of course a big climactic punch has to be by the Shusugiza man himself. Kenji Nagasaki making a return storyboarding an episode, and Hanako Ueda made probably one of the best looking non-action episodes. The shot composition really utilized the surrounding accompanied with the gorgeous color palette and compositing. I really like Ueda's using a lot of leg shots like how Naki Yamada does it. Those fucking feet fetish. There's definitely a lot more other highlight animators and directors that really put this episode to something special. This is not over yet for My Hero Academia. There is still an OVA that's not officially confirmed yet. That's probably gonna be announced in Jump Festa, but a chapter that was released 4 months after the final chapter that was adapted in this last episode of the final season. But thank you guys for always tuning in for my hero vids. I think I made quite a decent community slash following for MHA, since most of my vids for MHA does really well and the CPM is just delicioso. If you want to see my reaction of season 8, you can check out my reaction channel. And yeah, maybe I'll make a vid for the OVA if it's something special, or I just want to do a last video for MHA. Who knows? If you guys had a video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a like. Comment down below what your thoughts about this season. It's peak. Let's not lie to ourselves. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. See you guys next time.